its 200th anniversary. It's the oldest university in Norway, and to celebrate itself, it had a 15-year research project called the Forum for University History, basically whose task was to write the history of the University of Oslo, and it was made in 7 volumes, and an 8th, I think, is on the way. And I wrote parts of the 7th volume on the university's engagement in innovation from 1960 and until today, and which has been complicated for the university. It has met demands, it has met criticisms that it's been isolated, it hasn't really worked well enough with industry, which is a criticism more to the natural scientists and the life scientists at the university than to the arts and humanities scholars. The problem, I think, is that much of this criticism is based on false premises. It's based on not understanding the contribution of the university. And the interesting thing emerging from this whole history project is that there is now an overall argument in the 7 volumes that the main contribution of the University of Oslo to society, Norwegian society, is a continuing, over 150 years and more, training of people for the public sector that can be trusted, that have integrity, that work hard, and this is not self-evident in any country, and this is not discussed at all in many of these discussions about public impact and so on. So with this example, I'm trying to say, well, let's expand the issue of impact even more. And can we measure this in any way? I'm not sure it's possible. Well, it could be measured with this €8 million history project, maybe. But it's complicated, I think. And it shows another thing, that we think too linearly about the role of research in society. We think too linearly and too directly. The main impact of research is still through teaching and teaching students. Which is very indirect, and which we have completely different indicators for, and how the labor market functions and so on. Another thing I'd like to raise is that what can we learn from the 3 countries that we've studied in this project? And I think there are some common things here that may not be found everywhere else. I think one is that we have very sensible policymakers. I think when we have interviewed in all these 3 countries, the policymakers are well informed, they know about all the problems of measuring things, they know the heterogeneity of the landscape of research and impacts and so on. They also have some kind of, they have meeting places where they can discuss with the kind of the tennis game, hard discussion, or the more nuanced, the Chatham House rule type of closed room discussions. All these arenas exist. I'm not sure that can be found in all other countries, because I hear people, researchers, complain about their policymakers in the US or other places, that they do not understand the way research has an impact on society. The challenge of having informed policymakers is that they also know that the impact is not linear. So you cannot come to the policymakers in Norway and present, well, you just have to give us more money for research, and then innovation and good things will happen later, because they don't believe that, and we have told them that. But this is a challenge then, because to the researchers themselves, also within arts and humanities, this is what the world looks like. They work their whole lives within, or their whole careers within research, and so they see that what they did in the 1970s is now put into use somewhere in the 2000s or something. They can follow this process, and for them it's more linear than to the ones doing the actual change process that you talked about, the changes in practice, which are driven by problems, markets, ideas, and so on, and not by research. Research is something that supports it, maybe, when a need for new knowledge or knowledge at all arises. So that's my second message. And the third message is, since Paul said that this session was going to be about solutions, I think we jump too quickly to solutions without defining what the problem is. I have a project now in Norway about merging different research institutes and colleges, because some see that we have too many of them, or they are too small or something. And we have try to argue that before we discuss merging various types of research organizations, what is the problem that you're going to solve with this? And how will this solution solve the problem? And I think when we measure things, when we discuss impact, we're discussing different problems. And one of the problems is, of course, how can we get more money for research? And if that is the kind of underlying problem here, then I think arts and humanities need to team up with the other sciences. I think that's 3 complex messages in 5 minutes, so thank you.